going on, guys? Me, Alex Wong. Welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be showcasing the tool Discolike to you guys and how it has been significantly faster and more accurate than using tools like Apollo and ZoomInfo. We're going to be showcasing exactly what it is, what makes it different, if you should use it, what plan's best for you, and how the whole process works. So without further ado, let's get right into this. So on your screen here, from your entire web to your ideal target accounts, basically what Discolike is, it is a tool that allows you to get in contact with your entire total addressable market. And this has been a validated tool that is partnered with a bunch of different platforms, and even we're working on a little partnership ourselves. But the main thing is how this is significantly different than using other database tools. Now, let's just talk about database tools in general. For cold emails specifically, right, there's a handful you could probably think of. There's A-Leads, who we've partnered with. There's Apollo, ZoomInfo, Lusha, Snub, Hunter, whatever. There's so many different type of tools. And we're always searching around for what's the best one. I need this with this lead, I need this for this lead. And it's like, it always feels not enough, right? You always feel you're a little short, or Apollo doesn't have the coverage you need, or by the time you're done your list for hours, you only are left with like 1,000 contacts. So how are we going to hit those people who are not on LinkedIn? That's the biggest thing. All these tools are very compatible and reliable on LinkedIn information. So how do we expand beyond that to the entire internet? This is where Discolike comes into place, and let me show you how that works exactly. So just so we get very clear, their search has 98% of all existing companies. For them to make a bold claim like this, and I've checked into it, it's pretty fascinating, but in the business domain directory, they're covering about 98% of companies globally across 40 different languages, from small, private, and international businesses, right? You can even upload and validate original lists to match missing domains, records, and append Fermio graphics, right? Or you can identify your ideal customer profile. There's a ton of different use cases in here, and even some of the most niche type of things you're able to discover. Now, how this works, right? So in their words of explanation is their go-to-market technology, right, provides visibility into every business website. And you're going to see where this comes into place in just a sec. So this is where you get that data, like I said, that LinkedIn, Apollo, Clay, ZoomInfo, and others fall short, where they rely on LinkedIn data. And this allows you to 2 to 3 times more coverage on your high-fit accounts. Now, how is this more coverage and more accurate? Well, it goes off of this. So their system checks every secure website, right, on the internet to build a more complete business domain directory than anything else available. So if it has a website, they cover it. And how that works is through this little nifty thing here. So if you ever are on a site, I'm using Google Chrome, for example. So you'll see at the top left, you'll have your URL drain, and it always has little dash icons. If you ever click on this, it says your connection is secure. You click on this, and it talks about the SSL certificate. So if you click this, it'll then showcase the certificate that is a part of this site. Now, there's so many different things you can look into. The serial number, the versions, and more stuff than you probably would ever need to know. But all that's available right there. So they target these sites through this certificate. So now you're not worried about Apollo or things of that nature. And when you use that in conjunction with a tool like this, you have access to an immense more data that any filtering will give you. And when you complete your list, it comes with a lot of different things, and you can execute AI prompts, you could do site text, social links, mobile maps, locations, specific words, phrases, it all could be targeted, right? So same thing, if you want to target, look at this company here, if you want to target something, edit video with AI, start editing and things like that, those are all keywords and things you could punch in. So on top of that, you also can get access to the company's digital footprint. So their data allows you to actually see more accurate start dates, growth patterns, functions, implementations, subdomains, and vendors. All right, so let's actually build a list, and let me show you how it works exactly. The very first thing is talk about their plans. So they have an array of plans. Depending on where you are, they have a little spot everywhere for you. So they have a starter plan, a pro plan, a team plan, company plan, and enterprise plan. Now, if you're typically doing it by yourself, honestly, pro or team will most likely get the job done. If you're a lead gen agency such as ourselves, company and enterprise is most likely where you want to be. Now, specifically, just the starter, let's go over each one of them. You get, the access, you can export 10K at a time, your lookalike search, and just the basic use of the platform. And API access, this is very important. You get API access on the starter plan. Now, really where you see this come into play is query usage and record usage. So the way they charge is a little bit unique, and it took me a bit to get used to this to understand it. So the way that it works is you pay per month, right? But inside of your month, you have usage credits. So imagine you're like prepaying for your use on the platform. The way that they get charged, and shout out to George, and their support team. We have like 100 email thread of them answering like every question I ever have. They're phenomenal. They actually go through the process of running live searches each time you click submit. So they get charged, and of course that's where your pricing comes into play. But the better plan you have, the cheaper it gets, right? So it becomes more scalable. So the starter starts at 18 cents a search, and then about $3.50 per 1K record. And as you jump up the plan, so Pro, you have 15 cents a search, and then $3 per 1K record. Your team plan gets 12 cents, and then record is $2.50, then 10 cents and $2, and then 8 cents and $1.50. So you can see where enterprise plan, you'll get a lot of context from it. And, being one of those things, there's never going to be one database that's best for everything, but this is pretty dang close that comes with it. Okay? So every time you hit a search, this will be ran. So we're going to log in here, and we're going to create a list. And I'm going to show you what it looks like. So inside of here, you're prepped with this interface. Now this interface has a couple different sections to it, and we're not going to be able to cover everything in this video. My idea is just to get you exposed to this, and if you guys like it, leave a comment and let me know down below, and I'll do a more deeper dive into it. But specifically here, you're going to have your Discover, all right, on the left side. This is going to be all your companies, and you'll see a lot of example searches here, and we'll go through these. Then you'll have your contacts side of it, so you can double up on contacts. This is LinkedIn data, so you will be using that for, decision makers, and it's basically exactly the same as Apollo, if not better. You also have segments, so you could group a list of companies by their similarity score, all right? You have Append, which you could add company details and technological insights to your domain list. You have Match, which is find a company domain by name. So, like, if you're going to punch in Dulce Media here, and then submit, you'll see that it returns our company, right? So pretty cool stuff. If you upload a list, right? That's file upload. Probably do manual import. I'll show you here. There you go, dulce.io. Isn't that funny? And that's a couple of our subdomains. And it's very interesting why it's not the Dulce logo, it's my face. But point being is that look, it pulled it, right? There's a couple other funky things here, but, I'm sure more filters and stuff you add, it pulls it up. Now you also have DiscoGen. So DiscoGen is, kind of think about it like ClayGen a little bit. You have a couple different options. You can include your Claude, your Gemini, your GPT, and then a web search, and you could have it on a different lengths of search in depth to dig up details. So same fashion in Clay, if you want to go on their site and look for something or pull data, let's say it's marketing agencies, right? I'm going to show you what that looks like, but if it's marketing agencies, right, maybe I want to find a case study on their website. This is where you could do it all within one platform. And they've been telling me in the background they have so many new things coming up, right? New partnerships, new integrations. There's a lot of great room for the future. There's also the sandbox mode here, which is just a deep dive into full business domain data. Again, you guys can check this all out, but mostly we're going to be focusing on the top part. And then your queries, you can check out all your past searches. You can save searches, and then your searches automatically get saved. So going back to the search thing, I want to show you guys this list right here. So residential, commercial roofing. So I start with 100 contacts, all right, paid for 100. So whatever that math breaks out to, the 12 cents a search plus whatever 100 is. I went to 1,000, I got 800 new. And then I went to 4,000, I got 2,617 new. So this means I'm not paying with like 1,000, 4K, 3314. I'm not paying for that each time, each search, right? Maybe the 12 cents, yes. But the actual number-wise, no. It's only new searches. And this is over a 90-day period. So it gets cached for 90 days. So you can always go back to it. So if I ever wanted to rip up this search again, this residential commercial roofing contracts, which is the United States list, I won't get charged for that again, which is really, really nifty. Okay. In the settings, nothing too fancy here. You can see your plan, your usage, and your usage actually comes in. You see the exact amount of records you return, how much you're spending, and then what's left on your plan, right? Your API number of requests and all that. Your integrations here, you then can also add in all types of LLMs, right? That are all available from this list that you can see here. You can add search providers, anything that's based on this list here, and then webhooks and API. So very cool. All right, and it's super integratable. So if you guys use any MCPs or things like that, it's easy to implement. Now, let's make a list, okay? So what do we have to do? The very, very cool thing is you're not like Apollo. You're not, sweating your face off trying to, this keyword is bad. And you think you got to remember that not all lists are always going to be perfect, right? There's always something where someone might say that they're like a lead gen company, but they're not really, right? Or think maybe it's a LinkedIn content agency and we use it for lead gen, you know what I mean? So you can't always get on the money, but specifically let's talk about our ICP. Let's go after that, right? So if we wanted to target, let's say, marketing agencies, but let's get a little more specific than that. We specialize really well in influencer marketing. So we'll say influencer marketing agencies in the United States. What's something unique? Who are running Facebook ads. All right. That's it. You just want to type very simply what you do, describe your ICP, and then click Analyze ICP. And what's actually going to happen is Discolike is going to build out your base list for you. So you have a great foundation of where to start, and then you can move on with everything afterwards. So you just click Apply All, and it automatically generated all this stuff. So I always recommend, to go through and check it all out. But specifically, just as a base starter, this is great. And I'm going to show you what all the search is going to look like. So your lookalike text comes up with marketing agencies, specialized influence marketing, strategy, campaign execution, creator brand ships. And this is what it describes as the company profile text, which you can edit it, you can move it, you can negate things, but I think it's normally always very on point. It looks like it didn't come up with any lookalike domains for me, so I'm going to click this little star icon. It's going to generate some sample domains for me. All right, so let's take a look. Inb.co is one of them. So is this a good fit? Let's take a look. Free marketing tool, a series of free tools for creator marketing, paid social, organic social, created by Beats. Now, I can see why I didn't really give it to me the first time. That's most likely why. So I wouldn't really give that as a good fit. Let's see, goatagency.com. This is set number 2, Goat. This looks perfect. Welcome to Human Media Revolution, Global Media Influence. This is perfect. This is exactly what we're looking for. Next one is Carousel, Caroustle. Oops. All right, looks good. And just, take a look at a couple of them, but I assume the rest are all right. Leader, okay, perfect. Okay, cool. So we got our lists, we got the lookalike text, homepage text. So this is where it's a little bit interesting. Instead of keywords, because remember keywords, like you could go on LinkedIn, and you got to remember something very specifically about LinkedIn, right? There's only so many categories that you associate yourself with. So if I come to even my own page and I want to look at what Dulcie says, I'm pretty sure we're a marketing and advertising agency. But it's the closest thing to what we do, marketing services, right? So, I mean, once again, come back here. Define marketing services. So, there's only so many different choices they have. And the keywords that gets associated and pulled from this, I don't really use my business page. So it's kind of dry and cut. So when Apollo and things like that fills it in, it's not the best. Okay, this is where you have those false positives. And this is why you always get very frustrated thinking you can never make a great list. Here, it's a lot easier. And the reason because it takes your homepage text. So your site must contain these type of words. So influencer marketing, creator partnerships. And this is where you go a little bit back and forth to make sure you got it down pat. And you can mess around with this as much as you want before you submit. So this all looks good. Let's take a look what's next. Tech stack, facebook.com. Perfect. Now, if a star pops up, you can actually get a little bit deeper. So click product domains to target specific products within facebook.com. So maybe I want to target the pixels. Normally we're going under .net, right? So you can make it, for example, facebook.net. But that should be fine. Subdomains. Subdomains are very interesting. This is where you can really dive into, ad funnels, career pages, or different digital footprint scores. So for example, a couple of us that we have like senddulce.io, right? That would be one for me. And if you want to get specifically our, right, subdomain, you can go through and filter by that. Now, filters, you also have a bunch of different industry groups here. You have stuff like SaaS. As you know, a lot of these tools don't have SaaS. It's normally like information technology and services, which isn't really ideal. But you have everything here that's primarily what you need, right? Maybe like roofing would still be under construction and things like that. But you have your advertising, marketing, and that's all checks out. Social media mobile, all right? So one of my campaigns that I'm running now for my influencer marketing agency client is killing it. And they wanted to target companies with apps. I went in here, and I Apple App Store and Google Play and called it a day. That was it to make it. And we ended up booking a call with Duolingo. So just like that, man, it's very, very simple, very easy to use, and makes the experience of creating a list just a lot easier. Site language, I'd always have English here. If you ever need found it before or after, you can use that. Precision, I don't really mess with this stuff too much, but of course, unless you want to target lead gen companies, you want to make sure to exclude them. Include your lookalike queries, skip profiles with redirects, right? A lot of these have like certain redirects. You could turn on AI enhancement if you want. There's also a similarity score, industry variance, or domain consensus. So you can move this around more or less how close to the domain do you want all your information. For the industry, how much variance do you want it? Do you want it just strict advertising and marketing? But if they're advertising, marketing, and would be another one. And consumer services, is that still a good fit, right? And similarity score. So each one of these will have a match, like confidence, similarity score, and I'll tell you how close it is if you have those lookalike domains in, all right? They also still have your include and exclude list. So if you come to queries, you can always just drag and drop a list of domains. So let's say you have a list of clients you don't want to contact. You just drag them there. You bring them up in your company list. Let's say beauty, just for example, and exclude it. It'll exclude those 10,000 domains from the list. Country, and then you also can do state. Then down here you have employee count. So for us, most likely it'd be like 1 to 50. Digital footprint score. Agencies typically have a high digital footprint score, so I'll leave it at 800. And minimum records, 100. So let's click submit, and let's take a look at what it's cooking. So these are our top choices here. And all these, looks like they all got the Facebook.com vendor. Now if I open up a couple of these, let's take a look. Rebella, influencer marketing, beautiful. And you always can, this looks good, so let's check it. We'll add it to our list, and it'll help get the feedback and make a better list. Powering your social presence, expand your voice brand, identify, strategize, services. Let's take a look. Content marketing, social media marketing, online advertising, promotions. This is pretty much, more like content marketing, but I think it's still very good. What else we got going on? We got Beyond Agency. Let's take a look here. 360-degree marketing is to be found with Beyond, on an agency that does everything in the planet. So nothing unique, but so it looks like influencer doesn't directly come up. So I don't know if that's exactly what we want. So if we click on their name here, we can kind of see where everything comes up. And it looks like one of our keywords, is paid social. So I don't know. If I wanted to tone this down to, I don't know. I'm just going to be very boned for a sec just to make my point. We have 3 lists: influencer marketing, content, or social media campaigns, and creator partnerships. Let's take a look. Metasquad.marketing. Go to our site here. Let's see, marketing services, influencer marketing, bingo. So just like this, Media Squad would be a good fit. Hypify.ai, influencer marketing platform powered by AI. So this is where, you get into that funky area, right? This looks to be a SaaS, a software. So let's see what we can exclude. So if we click on this, it only had industries of advertising and marketing. Hi-Fi influencers, tools, influencers. These are the top keywords that pop up. Vendors, they're running Facebook ads. Let's go here. So this is their score, employee count, similarity. Okay. Hi-Fi is influencer marketing that automates the process of connecting brands and micro-influencers. So it looks like they're a software type thing instead. So if there's something in here maybe that gives us a sign that isn't exactly what we want, you could go ahead and exclude it. So just to give you an example, alright, so what we're going to do actually instead here is we're actually going to, same way you could do lookalikes, you can also exclude it. Say, hey, this is not exactly what I'm looking for because it's more like a SaaS. And it will start to get rid of some of those as well. Web dynamics, your go-to digital marketing agencies, lead gen awareness campaigns, website. So the social media management, that's where the social media campaigns come from. So if this looks good, I can extend it to 10,000 and more. But I go through a couple pages, I give the GPT, I give it a very strict prompt saying this is my offer, this is who I am, this is my service, my case studies, make sure these leads are a good fit for me. So these look good. Now if I wanted to hop over on the contact side of things, right, I just bring this list over to smack contacts. It'll ask you to save the list. So save it, add a tag, and then boom, it gets brought right over here. So same fashion, you actually can add lookalike context. You could search within specific company. You can add a persona profile text, a profile phrase match. You can do exact titles, and then you have additional filters. For example, their industry again, you could do their seniority, in the business. You could do what department they're in, and then you could check if they have emails, LinkedIn, phone numbers. You can do a contact consensus, and same thing with country and state. Now, specifically here, what I would recommend at the time being is to use this persona profile text. So how the persona profile text works is very simple. This actually will go ahead and understand, the job titles, the responsibilities, skills, and experience that you are looking to target. So if I were to just go ahead and pull, let's say, our, standard decision makers, effectively, I would just want to pull the go-to people, right? So if I wanted to describe it, let's say leadership roles, executive founders, and then maybe I want to negate entry-level mid roles. 5 people per company. This doesn't matter because we already got our list. Just click search, and then boom. Just like that, 100 contacts found, and it's all laid out to you here. So we have content masters, we have TikTok, vice president, co-founder, founder, and all these typically actually have an email attached to them. And I forgot to mention this earlier, but back on this little company page here, not so much for marketing agencies, but for local businesses, you also for free get the public email. So actually look at this. I mean, even if so, for these agencies, I got all their emails right here. And literally all you gotta do is just click export and done. Look at that. It just downloaded right to my computer. I didn't gotta wait, didn't gotta do anything, and it's all said and done. So that makes it super, super easy. And same with the contact. Look, I have 100 people, click that, boom, download it to my computer. That simple, right? And then you already have all your leads. Now they also do say verify, but I'd always recommend I still pull these people. My workflow is I pull these, I bring them to a tool like Lead Magic, and I use a catch-all verification to pull the emails, and then I bring this to Million Verifier to make sure that it's good to go. And it also does come with their link to links, so no need to go outside of your tool here to be able to get your information from. All right? So like I said, very straightforward, very simple. There's so many other things, like I said, we keep going on forever, but I think this is the most important pieces of the pie. Very cool thing with like your segment here. I mean, I'll give you kind of a show. It tells you, how similar your list is, and I think this is best used if you took like, let's say all of your contacts, right? So look at this. I just segmented that list way down, and I used automatic here. I think, that's the best one. But I broke this down even more. Influencer marketing platforms and tools, done-for-you social media content agencies, wellness, nutraceuticals marketing agencies. So it breaks your list down, and then it rates who's best fitted. So you see this proximity, right? Your segment ID breaks up your groups. But your proximity is, all right, done-for-you social media content agency. This ranked at 92%. Creative agency, social influence. This is pretty good. But this one, 68, maybe not as much. We make your digital marketing our full-time job. So yeah, it looks about so. Social media management, content, influencer management, right on the money. But maybe it's not so much considered this, but it would fall under this group. Does that make sense? So this is very nifty because I've had, I got a use case example, and I'll share the same thing that he's shared with me to you, is that there's this gentleman who, he helped companies that had like a multitude of security cameras, and he always thought that like hospitals, this is his number one client. He always went after it, always targeting hospitals. And then he realized by running it through this that police stations actually were his number one fit. So you could always run it through and see, right? But this breaks down that segment. So you could even understand deeper, and you could use another level of verification through here to, all right, within my influencer marketing list, like how else would I describe their segment? Okay, I'm going to kind of skip around here to the last portion, which is this DiscoGen aspect. So if I want to go to DiscoGen, right, and you would use GPT instead of Claude, let's enable web search, let's say medium search depth. And we can actually enter a prompt, and they do have a prompts library. You could go and search a couple different things, but what I am looking to accomplish here is use homepage to validate if there are existing case studies on the website. Case studies can also be described as our work, our portfolio, our results, client testimonials, client reviews or something similar. All right, I'm just gonna ballpark this, but your job is to review this site for these sections and pull a company name of a case study slash client they have. The company name is the only thing I need in the output. All right, so just like that, right, you're able to pull that information and then you can preview before you run it for the whole row, right? So if I want to generate my first example to the first one on the list, right, so carousel.com, I can see the information not available at the provided sources. Let's generate another preview. Okay, perfect, there you go. So Active Social, right, they came up with advanced stay. So somewhere, I don't know how long it'll take us to find it. Yeah, right here. See our partners leverage advanced stay, see case study. So perfect, look, it worked just like that. So if I wanted to run this for the whole list, now I click submit, and you watch GPT do its work, and it gives you basically the cost right here at the same time, and you'll see a pop-up, look, case study information, like Fiverr, Verizon Business, you know, I'm not going to pay for the whole thing, but just for you to get a good example, is it goes through and pulls all those names. So same functionality as Clay, which is very nifty, and you probably have to do some better, prompting than me to make that happen, but it's very nifty and creative. And with one of these, like, quote unquote, I'm not going to call them an all-in-one tool. They do have their flaws. I'm not saying they're perfect, but as a very good alternative to tools like Clay, and if you're looking to a solution to generate these lists and you're a little frustrated with creating and going through different angles, then I definitely would recommend them very highly. So with that being said, that's really all I had in today's video. It's a very new tool, so if you have a lot of questions or comments, feel free to drop them down below. And yeah, for that partnership I was talking about earlier, if you guys are looking to, save a couple bucks on a tool like this and about 15 other tools we've partnered with across the lead generation space, I'd highly recommend that you check out Agency Ignition. That's our community where we help lead gen and agency owners start and scale with outbound by giving them the same discounts and tools that we've used by allowing myself to forfeit my commission to give you guys the best prices of the game, but that's only to our active paying members. So it's for free, 7-day trial. You can start. If you love it, hate it, you can tell me after a month that I still hate it and I'll give you a refund, don't care. But just at least give it a try, right? See what it's like, all right? With that being said, thank you very much for watching. See you guys in the next one.